Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. Do you agree modern science fiction movies lack compelling stories, engaging characters, and the nutritional value to feed your imagination? If you agree, then boy oh boy, this is the list for you. So strap on your squid as we time travel back and relive the top 10 science fiction movies of all time. Number 10, Dark City, 1998. What if you were reincarnated every midnight? Sounds like a great movie premise. Like a murder mystery on the furthest limits of Total Recall, The Matrix, and The Lost Boys, mainly because of him. John Murdoch finds himself in a bathtub with no recollection of how he got there and with a bloody bindi on his forehead that he can't account for. Add to this, the hotel guests and staff are fast asleep. Someone has laid out his clothes for him, and a murder victim only muddies the already murky water. But at least he saved the goldfish. Dr. Daniel Schreiber, Kiefer Sutherland, urgently informs John that he's being pursued by nefarious entities. Frank Bernstead, William Hurt, is the police inspector tailing John in the murder throughout the Dark City. John pieces together the past, discovers powers unbeknownst to him, as the strangers, who built and control the city for God knows how long, switch the citizens' identities, memories, and social standing every witching hour. John transforms Dark City by freeing it from the strangers' devious control. In some sense, he's akin to Neo from The Matrix, in a role of a liberator fighting against agents of an oppressive system. And it's also more than Total Recall in that all the citizens' memories are fudged with. This is my first time watching Dark City, and it floored me by presenting a dark and delicious world of arcane mystery. If you haven't seen Dark City, I highly recommend it. Number 9, Alien Raiders, 2008. A grocery store is sieged by armed raiders, but it's not a robbery. Gradually, the truth emerges that these assailants are searching for more than bargains. What the f***? More like alien parasites. Spooky the Group spotter examines everyone to flesh out the parasite. The writers Julia Fair and David Simpkins present a very well-crafted story here, and it's interesting that all the spotters need to be drug addicts because their bodies are too toxic for the aliens to inhabit. Well, that's a neat trick. I don't know if this power is directly connected to their drug habits, but good enough for me. An undercover cop shoots Spooky, and this is a major wrinkle in their plan. The cop tips off the force and they converge on what looks like a hostage situation. Without Spooky, they resort to Plan B. They negotiate that Charlotte, another spotter, is brought to them from jail. Then things get really nuts. This movie received its fair flack, but I think it's unjustified. Granted, they could have chose a better title than Alien Raiders. It is a tight, urgent, and atmosphere-thick sci-fi chicken nugget that's waiting for you in the frozen food section. Number 8, The Hidden, 1987. LA is no stranger to weird shit, and the events that occur in The Hidden are right at home. A rash of violent crimes committed by otherwise law-abiding citizens wreak havoc and develop a taste for rock and roll and red Lamborghinis, resulting in an intense police chase through the City of Angels. Starting with mild-mannered Jack DeVry, going berserk and survives a lead shower. Jack is on life support, although it's unnecessary. What he really needs to do is hork up an alien into the next host. Tom Beck investigates these unusual crimes with Lloyd Gallagher, an FBI agent, who inserts himself into Beck's case. Beck's not happy about this at all. This is a cop buddy movie, so they'll butt heads until they earn each other's respect. And the on-screen chemistry resonates, even though Gallagher is extremely odd. Gallagher finally confesses to Beck that he's an alien hunting a parasitic alien creature. Whether this is a full-blown invasion, or this thing is a solo thrill seeker, but we can be certain it likes to have a good time, however the alien has bigger aspirations. But is this premeditated or is it just winging it? Regardless, the alien slug seems to have political aspirations as it occupies the body of a US senator.
I want to be president.
But no matter, Gallagher has his chance, and the political slug is scorched off the campaign stage for all to see. The Hidden hides nothing as a cop buddy alien hunt adventure, and I'm sure the soundtrack is pretty good if you like Concrete Blonde, and I am actually really taken by William Boyette's performance as a second maniacal host.
Bye.
Kyle MacLachlan, Michael Nouri, Claudine Christian, Edo Ross, and Chris Mulkey aren't bad either. And this is a great little film, as long as you don't have a weak constitution or stomach. Number 7, Strange Days, 1995. It's 1999 and Los Angeles gets ready to celebrate New Year's with a tailgate party that looks like the warm-up to The Purge. The shit is loaded and aimed at the fan, and boy does the scat fly. He's a mess, pining for his ex-girlfriend Faith, played by the quintessential wildcard Juliette Lewis. Lenny's detritus trade entangles him in a spaghetti mess of conspiracy, sparking a Rodney King caliber level of unrest. His buddy, Max, volunteers to keep a dornful and lustful eye on Faith at the behest of her new boyfriend and squidhead Philo Gant. Meanwhile, Mace takes care of Lenny as he fumbles his way closer to the heart of this lethal intrigue. The scenes of contraband and immoral virtual experiences are painfully sadistic, but they do drive home the movie's narrative of the tech's insidious execution. Pardon the pun. The conclusion is wildly ridiculous, though, as Max is revealed to be the bad guy. He's been blinking Faith while betraying Lenny's trust, but his fate dangles from a rather flimsy plot device and a gaudy necktie. Mace makes a citizen arrest of the two LAPD death squad officers, and she gets billy clubbed for her service, igniting another riot. Hey, thanks, little buddy. This all feels like a Rage Against the Machine music video combined with a Pepsi Max commercial. No, that's refreshing. I suppose Mace and Lenny become an interracial glimmer of hope for the City of Angels and for the new millennium. And despite these criticisms, Strange Days is still strangely good. Number 6, Robo Cop, 1987. Next up, Gangland Detroit, and the police department is on the ropes. Crime turns old Detroit into a war zone, a situation worsened by OCP. The archetypal corrupt military, law enforcement, and urban development megacorporation now runs the Detroit Police Department. Murphy is assigned to the Old Detroit precinct where he's paired with Ann Lewis. This is Old Detroit after also being blown to bloody nibbles and bits on the first day is expected. Conveniently erased by Bo Dicker's gang. Whoa, you better get a license for that name, pal. Corporate upstart and douche prick Bob Morton steps on Dick Jones's toes with his Robo Cop program. Dick's ED-209 police prototype kinda shits the bed on the first boardroom presentation, and Robo Cop was born as the police threatened to strike, and the OCP planned to capitalize this breakdown of the force. OCP doesn't want to let a good disaster to go to waste, but luckily Robo Cop's here to mop up. The blood, the violence in this movie is legendary. The sight of Murphy's hand and everything else getting blown off is pretty darn nauseating. And as the Ghost of the Machine starts working through Murphy's reconstructed brain, the past comes rushing back as he takes many shit kickings in the process. It's a really good action sci-fi movie, with a lot of really stupid stuff mixed into near-perfect quantities. It really deserves its own video, but sadism, pathos, camp, and gore really hit a lot of the right spots cinematically. The bumper advertisements were either flat or funny, and I don't know what the
I'd buy that for $1.
sketches were supposed to be, American Benny Hill, but this ginger thinks it's really funny, and aptly, he has the funniest scene in the movie. Win-win. Number 5, Event Horizon, 1997. In the year 2047, the rescue ship Lewis and Clark is dispatched to investigate the sudden reappearance of the Event Horizon, a spaceship that mysteriously vanished 7 years earlier during a secretive faster-than-light experiment, led by Captain Miller and joined by Dr. Weir Sam Neill, the scientist who designed the Event Horizon. The crew arrives near Neptune and boards the derelict vessel. Inside, they discover signs of a massacre, cryptic distress messages, and an eerie presence. Soon, the crew begins experiencing terrifying hallucinations linked to their deepest fears and past traumas. As they uncover the truth, they learn that the Event Horizon didn't just disappear. It traveled to a nightmarish dimension of pure chaos and malevolence, and now has returned with something sinister on board. As the ship itself begins to corrupt and possess the crew, Dr. Weir succumbs to its influence, transforming into a monstrous servant of the evil force. He sabotages the mission, attempting to drag the remaining survivors back into the hellish dimension. It must be lonely. In a final desperate act, Captain Miller sacrifices himself to destroy part of the ship, allowing the few remaining crew members to escape. However, as the ship drifts, a chilling final moment suggests that the evil has not been entirely vanquished, leaving the film on an ambiguous and unsettling note. Event Horizon blends cosmic horror with psychological terror. Think Dante's Inferno. Number 4, 12 Monkeys, 1995. In the wake of a global pandemic, the world is silent and cold, and the only sign of life is the African Serengeti wildlife that escaped from the zoo. Well, it looks like humanity is completely buggered. Well, not so fast, we're in luck. James Cole gets a ticket back to the 1990s when he's supposed to collect intel on the plague's origins. He also receives a tour of the city's mental health institutions.
Are you also divergent, friend?
And it's a happy coincidence that Jeffrey Goins shows James the loony ropes and helps him escape. After which, James kidnaps Dr. Catherine Riley, played by my 90s crush Madeline Stowe, who plays James' psychiatrist. The Stockholm Syndrome situation and James's charm convinces Dr. Riley that James is telling the truth about the army of the 12 monkeys, the impending plague, and she struggles to convince James that he's not crazy after all.
Come on.
No, it's okay. I'm not crazy anymore. I mean, I am. I'm mentally divergent. I know that now.
Despite her proof, like the World War I bullet that was lodged in James's leg, and the historical photo in Catherine's own book. Boom. Final receipts. And it's a guy-girl Thelma and Louise trip. 12 Monkeys is another Terry Gilliam banger. His unique visual style and world builds are off-putting in the best possible way. And a prime example is the post-pandemic underground refuge for humanity. Equal parts nightmare and comical. Holy fuck knuckle, Gilliam basically started his career birthing Monty Python's Flying Circus. And once again, Gilliam weaves a very unorthodox but very entertaining movie. And the ending is a classy way to tie everything that unfolded before your eyes right back to the beginning. Number 3, Moon, 2009. Everything seems to be as right as rain on Earth. The global energy crisis is solved by harvesting helium-3 on the far side of the moon. Sam Bell is the sole inhabitant of the mining operation, assisted by a HAL 9000 type computer, Gertie, voiced by the since disgraced Kevin Spacey. But he's an AI here, so he's not a threat, or is he? Sam is injured when he sees something inexplicable during harvest collection and winds up in the base's infirmary, only to wake up to find another Sam Bell skulking around in his periphery. Major headfuck.
I'm Sam fucking Bell. Me!
The base hasn't had long-range communication with Earth the entirety of Sam's 3-year stint as the moon base's caretaker. All communications are pre-recorded, but in his daze he hears Gertie engaging in a live conversation with Mission Control.
Sam, you're out of bed.
As it turns out, this roving emoji post-ited coffee table is on their side after all. Sam number 1's situation plummets as his body begins to swan song and nosedive, like they're designed to do. And it's all a shady and elaborate conspiracy perpetrated by Lunar Industries to save on operational costs, and not subject a real human boy to 3 years of isolation. But these Sam units must be expensive to manufacture, unless they're made out of Campbell's tomato soup. Collider named it the second best sci-fi movie of 2009, removed by this thing taking top spot. But Cameron's gender-reverse Pocahontas in space is a theater lobby cardboard promo compared to Moon. I mean, come on! Sam Rockwell times 2, Kevin Spacey being creepy, and a really tight scenario. Number 2, The Matrix, 1999. Did you see this movie in the theaters? And did your brain explode? It felt like the start of a new era in cinema. Or did the Wachowski brothers, sisters, predict the Matrix of our own making? But the bigger picture explores the premise that humans are an energy source harvested to fuel the digital facade of reality. And there is great cyberpunk, but The Matrix is visually stunning. Right there. Sold. Slap on an engrossing tale of venerable freedom fighters using payphones to fight agents. And Neo's journey to become the one could have fooled me. Neo is red-pilled when he meets Morpheus, and the adventure to save sleeping humanity takes flight in his cool new threads. As Neo trains within the simulation, he struggles to accept his destiny. Meanwhile, the sinister agent Smith and his fellow programs hunt him, determined to prevent humanity's uprising. Betrayed by one of their own, Morpheus is captured, forcing Neo to stage a daring rescue. In the climatic battle, Neo embraces his power, defying the laws of the Matrix by dodging bullets and ultimately defeating Agent Smith. As he awakens to his true potential, Neo vows to free more minds, setting the stage for humanity's revolution, which was utterly abysmal in the sequels, tantamount to shitting the bed. Number 1, District 9, 2009. District 9 wastes no time. Immediately you're plugged into the present dilemma of integrating alien prawns into human society, and how they arrive to hover above Johannesburg. Segregation of the prawn population is underway. Vikas Vandamera earns a supervisory position with MNU's relocation initiative.
It's clear that security is very high, and it's only the beginning of a total clampdown.
You see, Vicus's appointment is sheer nepotism. His father-in-law is one sick motherfucker, and Vicus is somehow the right man for the job. The MNU private army rolls into District 9, the slum where over 1 million prawns have been segregated. While collecting signatures for their own eviction, the prawns get unruly. The biggest event is Vicus discovering a cylinder that contains a precious black fluid to operate an escape ship. Fluid that took Chris, the prawn, 20 years to collect, and Vicus inadvertently turns it into slapstick comedy. Sealing Vicus's fate. Gradually, he mutates into a prawn, and MNU wants his ass so they can operate alien technology and weapons. Captured, they try to dissect him, but he escapes once again, and he's left with no choice but to help Christopher and his son to get home. And in doing so, Christopher promises to reverse the effects of the black fluid and return him back to his human form. District 9 is a fast-paced examination of Johannesburg's legacy of racial segregation that's too obvious to ignore. And the plot is neck-break fast, but tends to rely on convenient devices, making it an airtight story no one could slide a sheet of paper between. Despite this, District 9's confident narrative and performances like Charlotte Copley's film debut is brilliant.
I would never have any kind of pornographic activity with a fucking creature.
And the worst thing about District 9 is that we're still waiting for District 10. Alright, boils and gargoyles, that's today's list. How do these movies sit with you? Are these the greatest sci-fi movies of all time? Which ones would you choose instead? Go ahead and flap your gums in the comments section. And don't forget to show this little channel some support by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing. Thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you in the next one.